Hey everybody, uh, my name is Micah Matthews. I'm just a guy, you know. I'm just one of these dudes that lives on this planet, just like the rest of you. Um, you know, I started this vlog because something really profound happened to me not too long ago. I was diagnosed with MDD, which is major depressive disorder, and that was, I could have told you that. You know what I mean? Like, at least at the end there, I didn't know that I'd had it for as long as I did, because it kind of becomes a new normal at some point. And I think I was like 14 when I first started feeling symptoms of it, and I had no education on depression, and I was told, I was kind of like grew up in, and I don't want to like discredit religion or anything like that, but the people that I was around growing up didn't put a whole lot of stock into psychology or neuroscience or anything like that. It was always really kind of a pray your pain away sort of approach to things, and which for some people is very effective, and that's great, and I totally respect everybody's beliefs. But for me, it didn't help at all, because in a way that I was just really ignorant of mental health and the importance of it, and the symptoms of what to look out for. Just like warning signs and red flags of different disorders. And because I just figured, I was I was raised to believe that doctors were just a bunch of greedy people who, they sit around all day scheming up new ways and new disorders to diagnose you with so that they can take your money, and the unsuspecting masses are just going along with it. Just stuff like that. I'm sure there is an element of, corruption exists in all forms of human life, but I don't think that's the majority of what we deal with today. Because from what I've experienced and what I know, people I've met who are doctors, most of them genuinely just want to help people, and researchers and everything, so I think it's really important that mindset is combated. That's why I started this vlog, because when I was in the psychiatric ward, because I attempted suicide, because at some point you just get tired of living with that. It's like your mind constantly and consistently replays traumatic events over and over and over and over and over and over. And I mean, some people's version of trauma is different than others. Like rape is very traumatic, I'm sure, and it's terrible. But it's a different type of trauma than, say, there's emotional trauma as well that comes along with that. And so it's not my point is that it's not necessarily like an event as far as physical trauma comes. Sometimes emotional trauma can be just as devastating to your mental health. And for example, people like me, for example, I'm going through a really difficult divorce, and an even more difficult marriage probably. And it was very destructive to my mental health. And I'm not saying it was all my spouse's fault, and I'm sure it was just as hard being married to me as it was being married to her. So, but either way, it's over. It's for the better. What I was saying though is that, it's important to stay on track. It's hard to do that. You're gonna have to forgive me, guys. I do this sometimes, okay? I'll be thinking about stuff, and I get what I call rabbit trails, or I don't really know how to put it, but my mind moves really fast, and it goes off in tangents sometimes. So I apologize for that. Oh, the reason that I started this vlog, so to speak, is because I want to spread awareness about this thing. Because if I had known 12 years ago, I could have gotten help. I could have had help this whole time. It was so easy. All it took was me going to the right person and asking for help. That's all it took. I didn't have to, oh man, I tried everything but that. Because like, I didn't want to believe that there could be something wrong with me mentally. Because I had a grandmother who had brain tumors, and it really messed her up as far as like psychologically. And it was a frightening and traumatic experience just dealing with her towards the end of her life and everything. So, you know, I always associated mental disorders with complete psychosis and like total insanity. So I wasn't ready to admit that I had any mental issues, because, you know, that kind of stigma is hard to live down. And I've always considered myself kind of a smart person, you know, someone who's educated and all that. But the reality is that once you start perceiving things a certain way, depression just messes up your perceptions. You know, like, ever since I started getting treatment, I can see things are so much clearer, you know. I really haven't undergone any counseling yet, but I want to. But like the main thing I've been doing is they prescribed me something called sertraline, which is a neurotransmitter inhibitor, which basically means that, you know, there are different sections of your brain, and each one of those sections has a specific purpose that we are aware of. Sometimes multiple, but for the most part, we're pretty sure that different parts control different things. Like your hippocampus is your memory. It's about right here. Your temporal lobes are about here. It's where your ears and everything process auditory input. Your occipital lobe is in the back of your head. It processes visual stimulus. Your prefrontal cortex and your frontal cortex are here. That's where your thoughts are. And anyway, it's a lot of science, okay? Basically, neurotransmitters are chemicals that help your brain's neurons fire, and these neurons form chains, and they're like thought structures, and they can be really often used. And you know, I have a couple of theories as to what goes on, and I have to do some more research before I can say anything definitively. But that's why I'm making this vlog, because I want the journey to be documented. You know, I want people to understand what I'm going through, and because what if they relate? You know, I want you to be able to know that there's hope, man. Like, it's not all. I didn't think there was any. You know, like, I have scars to prove it. I didn't think there was any hope. I don't know if you can see it. There's ones that run diagonally. There's an old one here and a newer one. You know, I'm not proud of it, okay? I'm not showing it off because I'm proud of it, or I'm like, oh yeah, I'm the most badass emo. It's not my approach here. I'm trying to show you that for me, those were genuine attempts to end my life. And you know, like, I look back now and I'm like, what was the big deal? You know, I mean, not to discredit how I felt, because those emotions are very real. They're very real, and they're almost everything. They're everything that you are in the moment. Because I believe that our minds our neurochemistry isn't what we are, but it is who we are in the moment. And I think that it's important that we understand that there's versions of ourselves that exist outside of our emotions and our chemicals. And if you can learn to move outside of that and look at it, kind of rise above it, you will realize that there's so much potential for you as a person. That you can change, you can be different, and you know, those things are important to strive for. But my big thing was, like, I knew that, you know, but I didn't have any reason to, because whether it was drugs, sex, religion, anything. I tried everything I could. I tried everything to get rid of this hole in my chest, you know, this feeling of emptiness, this hollowed outness, and these constant, like, just reoccurring thoughts and images over and over and over and over and over without rest for months on end. Months and months and months on end. No respite from it. Of these horrible things that I went through, these traumatic events that happened to me, things that really changed me as an individual and I felt defined me. You know, mistakes I've made in the past, horrible things that I witnessed, things that happened to my loved ones, you know, just terrible stuff that no one should really have to go through. But the reality is that we do go through it. We do. We're human. Look at this. I mean, that's the nature of this planet. Pain sometimes, you know, death. These things happen. They're a part of us. They're a part of life. And coping with that and coming to terms with that is really difficult. It is. And it takes a lot of maturity, I think, to come to a place where you can grasp that that's the reality. You know what I mean? So, and it seems grim, but it's not, really. And you know, I don't know, my point is just that this is, it's to help you guys, you know, people who might be feeling like this. First and foremost, I want to say, well, lastly, I want to say, you know, if you're feeling like this, I'll talk about symptoms and stuff later in a video, but like, if you at all feel like you can relate to what I was just talking about, then, man, I really encourage you to get some help. And it's not hard to do. It's not hard to do. It's not hard to do. The state paid for my treatment. They did. And the medicine they gave me is not expensive. $9 a month. That's with no insurance, no co-pays, nothing. It's not expensive. It's not expensive. And it's strange the first few days. I'll give you that. It's a little different. But in such a good way, guys. In such a good way. I mean, I'm able to enjoy life again. And, like, life has... When I was young, learning things, discovering stuff, and like, life had something beautiful about it. And when that ended, I thought it was just my childhood ending. But no, man, that was depression setting in. And it changed how I perceive people's thoughts of me. It changed my perspective on the world. It changed everything negatively. And you just get stuck in that. So if that's how you feel, then please ask somebody. You're not wrong for that. It's not a terrible thing. You're not a bad person to feel that way. You're not stupid. You're not ignorant. Nothing is wrong with you, other than certain chemicals in your brain are being overproduced or not produced enough. It just depends on the situation. For me, I was producing too much serotonin. Just too much. I don't know. And I really don't know the implications of that or why those symptoms occur when that happens, but I am learning. And I'm going to continue to learn and share with you guys what I learned. But now that I'm taking sertraline, things balanced out, and like I have like normal feelings about things, and I'm able to clearly look at stuff. It's not perfect. It's not an overnight fix. You know what I mean? There's still stuff I have to work through, but that doesn't mean. But I feel like more than half of the battle's done. You know what I mean? Most 30% is like awareness. 70% was chemical imbalance. So the hard work, the heavy lifting, is done for me by sertraline, and the rest of it, the pieces I have to put together, the rediscovering of myself, because it's like a version of me woke back up, like he's alive again. You know, like imagine you going colorblind, but so slowly you don't realize it, and you still see colors barely, and you think that that's normal, so you have no hope, and then all of a sudden you take a pill, and all the colors back, and you're like, oh, I remember these colors. I remember I loved this color, and I love that, and all paintings now, and I like to paint, and whoa, you know what I mean? Like, life is just rediscovering yourself is what this is like for me. That's why I called it After the Fallout, because it's like I've got a bunch of rebuilding to do, because I'll tell y'all more details about the story later. I'll document. This is just the intro video, but I'm going to document like exactly what happened. I'll tell y'all detailed what happened, and you can, decide for yourselves. But anyway, I don't know. I hope you guys get something from this. And if nobody watches it, whatever. It's going to be there for me later, I guess. Anyway, hey, I love all of you. Happiness, I guess. Just be happy, guys. I know it's so stupid and hard to say, hard to admit. hard to take, you know, when someone tells you, just be happy. But it's really that simple, you know? And if you can't, there's help. Anyway, y'all be safe and stay home.